There's a hidden language inside every relationship, and most men never realize how powerful it truly is. It's not body language. It's not even just what you say. It's how you call her. Yes, the name you give her, the way you say it, the emotional tone behind it, can completely change how she feels around you. Most men overlook this. They think attraction is built only through looks, status, confidence, or the perfect text. But the truth is, sometimes a single nickname, the right one, spoken the right way at the right moment, can make a woman's heart race, soften her defenses, and create a bond she feels before she can even explain it. Because the right nickname doesn't just sound cute, it can trigger emotion, it can create trust, it can make her feel chosen, seen, adored, and emotionally safe in a way logic cannot fully describe. And today, we're breaking down 9 nicknames women secretly love, along with the real female psychology behind why they work so deeply. So if you've ever wanted to make her melt, to make her think about you after the conversation ends, to make your presence linger in her mind long after you've gone silent, stay with me until the end. Because once you understand this, your words will never land the same way again. Science actually backs this up. When a woman hears an affectionate nickname from a man she already feels emotionally connected to, her brain can release 2 incredibly powerful chemicals, dopamine and oxytocin. Dopamine is the chemical of pleasure, anticipation, and emotional reward. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone, the one linked to trust, closeness, emotional safety, and connection. That's why the right nickname doesn't just feel sweet on the surface. It can literally shift her emotional state. It can make her associate your voice wire with comfort, with attraction, with warmth, with emotional intimacy. This is not manipulation. This is emotional intelligence. And when you use it with sincerity, timing, and awareness, it can make her crave your presence even more. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a single word from the right person stay in your head all day? Maybe they said something simple, but the way they said it hit differently. You replayed it without trying. It made you smile for no obvious reason. It made you feel seen in a way you couldn't fully explain. Now imagine being that person for her. Imagine saying something so small, so natural, so effortless, that it lingers in her mind long after the moment is over. That's the level we're stepping into today. Not surface level flirting, not generic attraction, but emotional imprint. And this is exactly where most men get it wrong. They think attraction is built through grand gestures, through expensive dates, through trying too hard, through saying more, doing more, proving more. But real emotional connection is usually built in the small moments, in the tone of your voice, in the timing of your words, in how safe and desired you make her feel without forcing anything. A nickname, when used correctly, becomes more than a word. It becomes a feeling. I remember speaking with a man who was genuinely frustrated. On paper, he was doing everything right. He was taking her out, texting consistently, giving compliments, showing interest. But emotionally, she still felt distant. Then one day, he admitted something interesting. He said he never used affectionate language because he thought it would sound too cheesy, too much, too soft. And that was the missing piece, because once he learned how to express warmth in a grounded, natural, masculine way, everything shifted. She became more open, more engaged, more emotionally available, not because he became someone else, but because he finally learned how to communicate emotional safety. So let's start with the first one. Nickname number 1, Pretty Lady. This one sounds simple, but psychologically, it carries a lot more weight than most men realize. When you call her Pretty Lady, you're doing 2 things at once. Yes, you're acknowledging her beauty, but you're also honoring her presence. There's a softness to it, a quiet respect, a kind of elegant attention that feels very different from the average compliment, because women don't just want to be told they look good, they want to feel genuinely noticed. And pretty lady feels intentional. It doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel try hard. It doesn't feel performative. It feels warm, calm, and real. And that's exactly why it can be so powerful. Picture this. You're with her in a calm moment. You pause, really look at her, and with a relaxed smile you say, "You know, you're a pretty lady." Not as a pickup line, not as a routine, but as a natural observation. That lands differently. Studies on emotional perception have shown that women often respond more deeply to King's contextual compliments than random praise. That means timing matters more than frequency. Now let's move to nickname number 2. Nickname number 2, Princess or Queen. This one carries a completely different emotional energy, and I want you to understand the nuance here. Calling her my queen or my princess is not about worshiping her or putting her above you. It's about the emotional frame you create when you say it. It communicates admiration. It communicates intentionality. It communicates that you see her value. Every woman wants to feel chosen, not desperately chased, not pursued from weakness, but chosen with confidence. When you say, my queen, with calm masculine certainty, what she hears underneath those words is, I see your worth, I respect your presence, and I'm strong enough to say it without losing myself. That's why it works. But here's the catch. If your tone feels needy, insecure, or overly eager, she will pick up on it instantly, and women are extremely sensitive to emotional subtext. One man says, my queen, and it feels magnetic. Another man says the exact same thing, and it feels awkward, forced, or heavy. The words are the same. The energy behind them is not. That's why delivery matters. Slow down, stay grounded, mean it. Now let's move into nickname number 3. Nickname number 3, gorgeous. This one is timeless, and what makes it powerful is exactly that. It's simplicity. Hey, gorgeous. It's direct, it's smooth, it's confident, and when it's used naturally, it creates an immediate emotional shift. A lot of women receive compliments that feel exaggerated, repetitive, or forced, but your gorgeous tends to sit in that perfect emotional space where it feels effortless and honest. It doesn't over-explain, it simply acknowledges. And acknowledgement is one of the deepest emotional needs any person has. Think about how many people go through their day without ever truly feeling seen. When you look at her and say gorgeous in a grounded way, you interrupt that emotional pattern. You create a micro moment where she feels noticed. I once heard from a man who started using hey gorgeous only when he genuinely felt it, never out of habit, never mechanically, and he noticed something subtle but powerful. Every time he said it, she would pause for half a second, smile, and soften her energy toward him. That's not random, that's emotional response. These nicknames are not magic spells, they are emotional amplifiers. They only work when there is real connection underneath them. Without that foundation, they fall flat. You've probably heard someone use a nickname before and instantly felt something was off. Too soon, too forced, too rehearsed. That's because your mind picks up on incongruence, and so does hers. So don't rush this, because what we're about to move into next goes even deeper. These nicknames don't just create attraction, they create playfulness, emotional safety, and subconscious bonding. Small shifts that completely change how she feels around you. If you're still with me, take a second and think about this. Which of these have you used before? And more importantly, how did you say it? Drop that in the comments, because awareness is where change begins. Now let's go deeper. Remember, nicknames are not just words, they are emotional codes. Nickname number 4, babe or baby. This is one of the most commonly used nicknames in the world, and ironically, that's exactly why most people misuse it. When used mindlessly, babe loses its impact. It becomes background noise. But when used with intention, it becomes incredibly powerful. Why? Because babe creates familiarity. It signals closeness. It signals comfort. It says there's something emotionally relaxed between us. And comfort, when paired with attraction, creates emotional security. And emotional security is one of the strongest forces behind long-term connection. But here's the mistake most men make. They overuse it. When every sentence becomes babe this and babe that, the brain starts filtering it out. It no longer creates emotional effect. It just becomes verbal wallpaper. So instead, use it sparingly. Let it feel soft. Let it land. A simple, hey babe, at the right moment can genuinely calm her nervous system. It can make her feel like she's in a space where she doesn't have to perform. And baby goes even deeper. Baby carries more softness, more tenderness, more vulnerability. When said naturally, it can communicate not just attraction, but care. It tells her there's emotional closeness here. There's a reason couples who feel safe with each other naturally drift into softer language over time. That language reflects the state of the relationship. And when she feels that softness from you, she starts associating your presence with comfort. But we're just getting started, because the next group introduces something equally important: playfulness, lightness, fun, that emotional spark that pulls her out of her head and into the moment. And once you understand how to create that shift, everything changes. Nickname number 5, cutie. At first glance, this one may sound too simple, maybe even too playful for some men, but psychologically, cutie sod is one of the most disarming nicknames you can use when the timing is right. Here's why. Cutie doesn't create pressure. It doesn't demand anything from her emotionally. Instead, it gently moves her out of analysis and into a lighter emotional state. And that matters more than people realize. Because a woman's attraction often grows strongest when she feels relaxed enough to let her guard down. Think about those moments when she laughs freely, when she teases you, when she stops trying to be perfect. That's her in a softer, more feminine, more open emotional space. And when you call her cutie in those moments, you reinforce that side of her. You're essentially telling her, I like this version of you, the relaxed one, the playful one, the real one. I once worked with someone whose biggest problem was that every interaction felt way too serious. Every conversation sounded like an interview. He was focused on impressing instead of connecting. But when he started adding small, playful touches like cutie at the right moments, something shifted. She relaxed. She laughed more. She leaned in more, not because the word was magical, but because of what it allowed her to feel. And here's the key. Say it with a subtle smile, a light tease in your tone, not too excited, not too soft, just grounded playfulness. That balance creates intrigue, because attraction is not built only on intensity, it's built on emotional contrast. Now let's move into nickname number 6. Nickname number 6, sunshine. This one hits a different emotional layer. This one is less about flirtation and more about emotional meaning, because every woman has different layers to her. There's the part of her that wants to feel desired, and then there's the deeper part of her that wants to feel appreciated for who she is beyond appearance. That's where sunshine becomes powerful, When you call her sunshine, you're not just commenting on how she looks. You're acknowledging her energy, the way she brightens a room, the way her presence shifts the mood, the way she feels to be around, and that activates a different emotional reward system. Instead of focusing only on dopamine, which is linked to excitement and attraction, this taps more into oxytocin, warmth, closeness, bonding. Imagine she walks into a room after a long day. You look at her calmly and say, "Hey, sunshine." Not loudly, not dramatically, not performatively, just present. In that moment, you've done something subtle but deeply meaningful. You've associated yourself with emotional safety, and here's the deeper psychology most men miss. When you repeatedly connect her presence with something positive like warmth, light, or peace, she starts internalizing that identity around you. She starts feeling like your sunshine, and people naturally gravitate toward the spaces where they feel valued like that. So pause for a second and ask yourself, when you talk to her, do you only notice how she looks? Or do you also notice how she feels to be around? Because the men who understand that difference are the ones women remember. And if this is clicking for you, take a moment to like the video, not just to support the channel, but as a small promise to yourself that you're actually going to apply what you're learning. Because knowledge without action changes nothing. Now let's go even deeper, because from here, attraction begins blending into emotional depth in a way that becomes unforgettable. Most men stay on the surface, but this next layer is where you start touching her subconscious. And once you do that, the connection doesn't just feel good, it stays with her. Nickname number 7, Angel. This one carries a very specific emotional tone. It's soft, it's calm, it's meaningful. When you call her Angel, you're not just describing her, you're assigning a role in your emotional world. You're telling her that she represents peace, comfort, a kind of grounding presence in your life. And psychologically, this taps into something powerful. Many women naturally connect with the desire to nurture, to comfort, to be a source of emotional safety for the people they care about. And when you acknowledge that side of her sincerely, it creates a deep feeling of connection. But this one must be used carefully. You cannot overuse Angel. It only works when it's tied to a real moment. Maybe she does something thoughtful. Maybe she shows kindness. Maybe she says something that calms you in a stressful moment. That's when you pause and quietly say, "You're an angel, you know that?" When it connects to real behavior, it feels true. And when something feels true, it sticks. I remember hearing a story from a man who used to call women angel casually all the time. It never really landed. But one day, he said it differently, slower, softer, with presence. And her whole expression changed. That's the difference between words and emotional weight. Now, let's shift the energy again. Nickname number 8, Hot Stuff. This is where desire comes in, because attraction is not only about comfort, it's also about tension, that subtle push-pull energy that creates excitement, chemistry, and spark. Hot stuff works because it introduces playful desire without becoming too heavy. You're not begging, you're not over-validating, you're not seeking approval, you're simply noticing her attractiveness and owning it with confidence. But once again, tone is everything. Say it with a relaxed smile, a steady look, a playful pause. Let it feel like a natural reaction, not a rehearsed line. Because when it feels natural, it becomes magnetic. And here's the psychology behind it. When a woman feels both emotionally safe and genuinely desired, her brain experiences a powerful combination of oxytocin and dopamine at the same time. That mix is incredibly potent. It creates both warmth and excitement, comfort and tension, safety and spark. That's why balance matters. Too much softness and attraction fades, too much intensity and emotional safety disappears. But when you can move between both, the connection becomes unforgettable. Now, before we step into the final and most powerful nickname of all, I want you to reflect on this. Which of these feels most natural to your personality? Because authenticity is the foundation of all of this. You do not need to force every nickname. You do not need to sound like anyone else. The goal is to find the ones that genuinely fit your energy and then say them with presence. And if you've made it this far, comment the word connection below. Not as a trend, as a reminder, because that's what this is really about. And the last nickname? It's not something you copy, it's something you create. And once you understand this, everything changes. Nickname number 9, the personal nickname. This is the most powerful nickname of all because this one does not come from a list. It comes from your connection. A personal nickname built from an inside joke, a shared memory, a late night conversation, a random moment only the two of you understand, carries emotional weight that no generic word ever can, because attraction may begin with what is universal, but connection is built on what is unique. Maybe it's something playful, like giggles, because of the way she laughs when she gets nervous. Maybe it's trouble, because of a bold moment where she surprised you. Maybe it's something completely weird and random that would make no sense to anyone else, but means everything to both of you. That's the magic. Because when she hears that nickname, she's not just hearing a word, she's reliving a feeling, and this is where psychology becomes something deeper than theory. The human brain is wired to tie emotions to experiences. So when a personal nickname gets consistently paired with positive, emotionally meaningful moments, her mind starts linking Yuchan with those feelings. That's emotional imprinting. It's why certain songs remind you of certain people, why certain places unlock memories you thought were gone, why small details can carry huge emotional weight. The brain doesn't only store information, it stores emotion. And when you become the source of those emotions, you become unforgettable. I once heard a woman explain that the reason she struggled to fully let go of a past relationship wasn't even because of how it ended. It was because of how personal it felt when it was good. The little nickname he used for her, the way he said her name, the private language they built together, it stayed with her, not because it was dramatic, because it was personal. That's the level of connection we're talking about. Now, before you rush off trying to use all of this, I want to leave you with 3 principles that matter more than any nickname itself, because this is what separates emotional intelligence from emotional manipulation. First, patience. You cannot rush emotional intimacy. Nicknames only work when there is a real foundation underneath them: comfort, trust, ease, timing. If you introduce them too early, they won't feel warm, they'll feel intrusive. So let the connection develop naturally. Pay attention to the rhythm between you. Let her open up at her own pace, and when the moment is right, that's when the softness lands. Second, awareness. Watch how she responds, not just what she says, but how her energy shifts. Does she smile? Does her tone soften? Does she lean in? Does she become more relaxed? Those little changes tell you everything, because every woman responds differently. Some connect more with playful energy, others respond more deeply to emotional warmth. Your ability to read that is what makes you stand out, because when she feels understood without needing to explain herself, that's when real connection begins. Third, authenticity. This is the most important of all. If your words don't match your energy, she will feel it immediately. You can say all the right things, But if they aren't grounded in something real, they won't land. So don't force a style that isn't yours. Don't fake a tone that doesn't fit your personality. Find your natural way of expressing warmth, confidence, and presence, and let that guide your words. Because authenticity is not only attractive, it's trustworthy. And trust is the foundation of everything we've talked about today. Now let's bring everything together. Pretty lady creates elegance and respectful admiration. Princess or queen communicates value and intentional choice. Gorgeous gives simple but powerful recognition. Babe and baby build comfort and emotional safety. Cutie creates playfulness and lightness. Sunshine acknowledges her energy and warmth. Angel speaks to emotional depth and nurturing softness. Hot stuff introduces desire and tension. And the personal nickname creates a bond no one else can replicate. Each one touches a different part of her emotional world. And when used with presence, awareness, sincerity, and timing, they don't just create attraction, they create meaning. Because at the end of the day, what people remember is not just what you said, it's how you made them feel when you said it. It's the pause before the word, the warmth in your tone, the calm confidence in your voice, the effortless feeling behind it. That's what lingers. That's what stays. That's what makes someone think about you when you're not around. And I want you to really sit with this. Love, attraction, and emotional connection are rarely built through giant dramatic moments. They are built in the details, in the way you listen, in the way you respond instead of react, in the way you make her feel safe and desired at the same time. And yes, even in something as simple as the way you call her, because names carry identity. And when you give her a name that feels warm, personal, and emotionally charged, you are shaping how she experiences you. You stop being just another man in her life. You become a feeling, and feelings are what people remember. So the next time you're with her, don't force it. Don't overthink it. Just be present. Notice her. Feel the moment, and let your words come from there. Because when they do, they won't just reach her ears. They'll stay in her mind. If this opened your eyes even a little, take a moment to like this video. And if you want more deep, powerful content on female psychology, attraction, emotional connection, and relationship dynamics, subscribe to Love, Lies, and Reality, and turn on the bell so you never miss what's coming next. And before you go, I want to hear from you. What's one nickname you've used, or one someone used on you, that actually stayed with you? Drop it in the comments, because sometimes the smallest words carry the deepest emotional weight. Until next time, remember this. The right words don't just touch her heart, they stay in her soul.